Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk specifically about the new Cold War game mode. The title of this video is The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, but I'm going to cover these in reverse order so that we end on a high, on the good. Alright, so jumping straight in then with what do I think is ugly about the modern armor and the Cold War update to the game. I'm going to talk about things that I think have potential but are not quite where they need to be as of right now as we see them in the game. Straight off, 3D commanders. When I first saw these about 5 weeks ago, I thought this was some kind of pre-alpha thing that Wargaming were messing about with testing during the Cold War test. I think they look like beginner characters or beginner character models from games like Saints Row or very early editions of GTA. I know what it's like to have something you've worked on for a very long time thrown back in your face and said that it's a pile of crap, so I'm not going to do that here. I'm not going to say that the concept of 3D commanders is bad, because I don't think it is. Like most things, if it's implemented correctly, if an idea is implemented correctly, then it will be great. But 3D commanders, in their current form, I don't think they look quite finished. They look more like a team of interior decorators to me. Yeah. They look like decorators, not tank commanders. That's my take on it. If people like them, then that's fine. But for me, I think as they are right now, I think they'll put veteran players off the game a little bit. I don't think this is a feature that will bring people back. So that's why, in its current state, in their current form, I've put them in the ugly category. Alright, the next thing I'm going to cover is the bad. What do I think is bad about this update? This is a section that I've had to think very, very carefully about. The biggest thing I don't like about this update is something that concerned me during the testing as well. We have 2 lines of 9 tanks. That makes every single game almost identical. And from my experience, the game mode gets very, very dull very quickly, because every new target is the same as the last one, and it's going to be the same as the next target after that one. The need for variety in the game is what we learned from 6.0. The same old map rotation got very old pretty quickly. And I think the same thing's going to happen here. The same old tanks are going to get very old very soon. And for me, that is what's happened. I've not played Cold War in a week because I got to the M48 the week of Cold War release. I hit top tier in that era, and I just didn't have any interest to carry on. In my opinion, I think what they should have done is release 3 lines of 3 tanks, where we would have 3 modern lights, or Cold War lights, Cold War heavies and Cold War mediums for the US and the USSR. With that approach, at least we would have some variety and get more. We would have a more varied game experience on the new and old maps. As much as I like the Cold War mode and my new M47, I can't get away from the feeling that this is going to burn out quickly if things aren't progressed fairly rapidly. I could be totally wrong on this, and in some ways I really hope I am. Another thing that was mentioned during the test was the era system. Always being bottom tier is something that only ever happened once in this game prior to the release of the modern armor and the Cold War game mode. When you were at tier 1, which is basically now tier 3, you were always bottom tier because that's how you start in the game. That's how you start in pretty much every game you've ever played. It lasted for maybe 3 games and you were done, and you moved on to the next tank, which then had the potential to make you top tier. Playing the very bottom tier doesn't happen very often because no one really wants to be bottom tier all the time. I don't know anyone that would want to be bottom tier all the time. Now you have to be bottom tier at least 3 times on your way up to the top. Once you've played the M46, why keep it, you know? Same for the M60 and the M1. Unless you have a love for the tank, you won't want to play it because you'll always be bottom tier. You'll always be at a disadvantage. Fortunately for me, my tank of choice is the M47, which is straight in the middle, so I can, to some extent, I do enjoy playing the M47 because I'm in the middle. I'm not bottom, I'm not top. It's just middle of the road. It's okay. I don't mind it. I think that Wargaming need to get rid of the 3 eras so that the M46 is the only tank you'll ever have to play as absolutely bottom tier. Just have one tank, as we always have, that's absolutely bottom tier, because I just don't like the idea of always being bottom tier multiple times. It just, it's not for me. It's not for me. I say this is a bad part of the game, but this update isn't even 2 weeks old yet, so again, I could be wrong, and I would quite like to be wrong because, well, I don't really want what I'm saying to be right. I don't want this to burn out because I do like the game and I'd want it to continue. Well, one thing that did shock me when the update went live was the Cold War tanks playing True Vision on the old maps. This was something that Wargaming sort of snuck past us during the test, and initially I wasn't best pleased, but you know, it is what it is. I like True Vision, but I'm not so sure it works on the old maps because I think they're just a little bit too small. But again, it is what it is. Alright, let's move on to the things that I think are good about this update. As I've just said, I do like True Vision. For me, it makes me think about my gameplay more. I have to be careful about when I move. I have to be careful about where I sit. I have to be careful about when I take shots. I love True Vision during the testing, and for me, personally, I think it's a great addition to the game. The Cold War mode as a whole has huge potential. I think it has absolutely huge potential, and it's almost like playing a brand new version of World of Tanks. The mindset of a True Vision player, I think, is different to a typical World War II World of Tanks player, and I do think that variation in the gameplay will break up the potential for stagnation in this franchise, especially on the console. It's like you're playing 2 games in one, and yeah, that's why it's a separate game mode, because it is essentially, it's a brand new game, sort of. And I think that's really, really good, and I really think that this has an enormous amount of potential. I'm just crossing my fingers, hoping that in the future we will see that potential realised. Alright, the new consumables I think are absolutely brilliant. I think I've said this before, but the smoke consumable it's my thing. It's my new go-to consumable for any vehicle that I play. And I think this consumable is going to revolutionise the way the games play for all vehicle types when eventually we see more vehicle types. I absolutely love the addition of the M47 because the M47 is one of my favourite tanks, aside from all the others that I say are my favourites. I've got too many to count now. The M47 was a tank I wanted in the game for a very long time, so it's a thumbs up from me. And I like it so much. I've only played 1 game in my M48. The rest have all been M47 games. My entire experience of Cold War has been the M47. And maybe that's why I think Cold War's a bit dull, because I've only been playing the same tank. Yeah. That could be my own fault. But, you know, I love the M47. I'll have to give it some more time, see how it goes. I absolutely love the new platoon screen. I love seeing all 3 tanks stacked up in a row before you go out into a battle. That's awesome. The vehicle stat screen is great. It's great to have this information about the vehicles we're playing. And I think the tank module variations are great as well. And this is something I wasn't really paying attention to initially, because generally speaking, the mindset of World of Tanks is you just unlock package after package after package, and you assume the Top Gun is the best gun, and that's the one you just mindlessly grind for. But what I've noticed with the M47 is that it has two guns. One is lower alpha and higher pen. The other is higher alpha but lower pen. So you've got a trade-off here. It's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to go with? And I really like this because it makes me think about my vehicle more. It makes me think about the way I play the game, and I'm not just, again, mindlessly unlocking module after module, equipping them, just trying to get through the tank. I can tailor the tank to my playstyle, and I think that's really, really good. I think it adds variance within the game, and the more variety we have, the better. So I think the potential, again, is absolutely huge, and I do like where this is heading. I just want to see it unfold a little bit more than what we are seeing right now. Okay, that's all I have to say for this one at the moment. I am very interested to know what your likes and dislikes regarding this update are, so please let me know in the comments below. As always, I hope you're all still keeping safe, and I will see you out there.